Hello, ladies and gentlemen, specifically ladies, and welcome to the Why Anything podcast.
For your host, I'm Nathan. That is Vadim.
Today's episode is on the topic of AI and its future ramifications and prospects. If you're new to the podcast, which you should be since this is our first official episode, each week we will alternate with one of the hosts choosing a topic for discussion and presenting a series of questions to the other hosts, leaving room for discussion, gaining new knowledge, formulating concrete opinions on anything, which is usually related to philosophy or sociology. Okay, Nathan. First question. Do you think AI has had an overall greater positive or negative effect on humanity?
Interesting question. I think that overall, it has been a positive effect on society.
Okay, and why do you think so?
I think that first, first of all, I think that not much of anything can be classified as positive or negative. It's all about your outlook. There's some outlook saying that it could be a negative impact on society because it could make people lazy. It could take away the ability to gain more knowledge. But I think that it acts more of a tool as I mean, in the past, we did not use drills to drill into wood. Does using drills now make us lazy and since we're not using screwdrivers? I don't think so. I think it's more acting as a tool than anything.
Okay, while I see what you're saying, I would say that beyond just gaining or losing knowledge, AI also has multiple negative effects, specifically on the environment because it uses a lot of resources. And then some of the questions that I'm going to talk about now will also kind of talk about some potential negative effects of AI. So, do you think that AI could possibly widen the wealth gap? For example, the rich have already investments in data or AI. They own servers. They have the ability to spend money on progressing these um, areas of technology, whereas the poor or the middle class are either going to lose their jobs or they're not going to have the opportunity to kind of gain wealth through these new areas.
I think in that sense, widen it could widen the wealth gap in certain aspects. I don't think it will necessarily widen the wealth gap all that much, as people can use the fruits of AI and interactive AI and maybe even invest into themselves by using it and improving. A very good example of this that I've seen is that there is artists who well, I follow this guy. He makes fan-made Pokemon, and he started to boom up his business when he started to use AI to help not create create Pokemon just using AI, but as a tool, he used it, and he has started to get a lot more profit. So I do think it could widen the wealth gap, but at the same time, I think it also gives opportunity for everyday people to make money using it as a tool.
Okay, I see what you're saying, but this leads me to my next question then, because do you think AI should be used for media and entertainment? So things like art, music, writing, movies. I feel like, or not necessarily what I feel, but do you think that if AI can mimic human soul, essentially, or creativity, does this mean that human creativity becomes devalued?
I don't think so. I think that yes, we should use it in all aspects, and any aspect that you can use it as a tool, you should use it. Um, it is sorry, can you repeat the part about like the last part that you said?
Well, if AI is able to mimic human creativity and soul, the one thing that separates humans from computers, right? The ability to use our imagination, use our creativity to create things. Does this not make human creativity less valuable than it used to be just because AI can mimic it through the use of art, or rather creating it?
I think that AI would never be able to mimic human creativity. Uh, but let's say, as a hypothetical, it could mimic human creativity. I don't think it uh, devalues it. Um, let's say we get to a point where AI is on it can think on its own, it can operate on its own, it doesn't require a human to control it, then yes, I could see that being a possibility. But I feel like that's a very long way and almost dystopian future if that happens. But in current day, where let's say it could mimic human creativity, it still requires the creativity of a human to operate it. In that sense, I do think it does not devalue human creativity.
Really? Okay, but would you
Yes.
not say that, well, all of AI art is generated by using other people's art as reference? And so in that sense, it very literally mimics human creativity. It attempts to create something by using human art as a reference tool. So not only does that pose questions about, well, isn't that stealing human art in a sense? But also it, in my opinion at least, definitely mimics human creativity. And it takes away jobs from artists. A lot of people online will see a lot of Instagram reels, YouTube shorts, TikToks, whatever, of art made by AI or influenced by AI, and a lot of it is just slop in the sense that it's been used. Like you type in a 2 minute a prompt in 5 seconds, in 2 minutes it generates a video or an image for you, and something that could have taken somebody hours, somebody could have put a lot of soul or passion into it, it's now instead generated by a program. Do you think there's any problem with this, or do you think that this is the it's okay to optimize art in this sense?
I think so. I have two things I like to say about this. First of all, I like to change my opinion. I do think it can devalue human creativity if it can mass produce it. I didn't know that the way AI art works is that it takes inspiration from other sources, other human sources. I didn't know that's how it worked, but I think that if it can mass produce it and uses it in such ways, then yes, uh, it can devalue human creativity. However, uh, I do not necessarily think that this is a bad thing. As well, first of all, to answer your question, I do not think it is stealing because a human can use different art as inspiration. And I do not think it's a bad thing that AI can mass produce it because I think that creativity or art or music is a beautiful thing that should be abundant. And mass producing it, yes, it may take away jobs from people, but after every single uh, like revolution not revolution, like a huge change in the culture and the society, jobs were no longer available. I'll give you a good one. Uh, Before the refrigerator, there was a milkman that every morning, or every week, he would deliver milk to his route. Now, should we have not invented the fridge to let the milkman keep his job? I don't think so. I think that the fridge is a helpful tool, and I think that even though it costs a lot of people their jobs, it helps push us forward as a society.
I see what you're saying, but how about this then? Would you not agree that AI is being used for the wrong purpose then? Shouldn't human creativity and entertainment be left to humans rather than computers? Think about it in the sense that when we thought about the future, like think about in the 1980s, people thought we'd have flying cars in the 2020s, right? Naturally, you would expect AIs, robots, and technology to do all the dirty work because they're not people, while people could actually enjoy life in the sense that they could create and they could use their creativity and passion instead of being work drones where you have to commute, like you go to a bus, go to work, come back, and you don't really have that much time left to do anything passionate. And instead of doing things that require passion and creativity, AI is doing that while all the dirty work is being done by people.
So what is the dirty
By
work?
well, I mean any job in general that isn't necessarily like creativity. I don't mean dirty as in it's bad. I just mean that it could be done by AI instead, while creativity and art, music could be done by people. But instead, it
Okay,
seems like
but not
it's going in a
everybody,
roundabout way.
n- like n- a good job that could be taken over by AI is engineering because they can do the calculations easily within moments. But people love being engineers. Maybe someone who's an engineer doesn't want to be an artist, doesn't want to do that creative work, and enjoys being an engineer. Then why
I'm not
is
talking so much
taking
about
away?
engineering. I'm talking about dangerous jobs, or let's say if we talk about mining or even factory jobs where people are just basically doing robotic functions where they're like loading up the conveyors, doing things like this. You look at third world countries where, kids are working in factories. Why aren't robots doing it? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because it's a lot more expensive to have robots and AI work in those factories than it is to hire humans for below minimum wage. But is it not wrong to have humans do those jobs when they could be doing what, life's gift, making art, creating something instead of blowing up the
I feel
conveyor
like you're
belt?
talking about like a utopia here. I feel like you're talking about a utopia because where are they going to get the money? Art, like if every single person was supposed to do something creative, instead of things like working in factories. Some people, their only option is to work in a factory. So how come taking away their job of working in a factory because it's not meant for the likes of a human, but it should be done
I'm
as
not
dirty and treated as dirty work? I'm just saying, like you talk about how taking away factory jobs is something that could be good, but taking away creative jobs is something bad. But both things are people's livelihood. And if you cannot just simply talk about taking away the job because how is that person going to live? How is that person going to enjoy uh, the creativity that he or she may have if he or she does not have a job to make money, like working in a factory?
I get your point, and I'm not saying that all jobs should be removed and we only have art, people making art, because obviously then nobody will have money. And I'm not talking about a utopic in a utopic sense that it should happen right now, but it seems like we're moving towards the wrong direction. AI was supposed to help humans by removing dangerous jobs, by making it people's livelihood and general like life better. Life should have been better for humans thanks to the use of robots. Instead of that, robots or AIs, generative AIs, LLMs are being used to do passionate, creative work that was done by humans while people are still forced to work in factories under dangerous conditions, underpaid jobs. There's also the idea of universal basic income, which could have helped supplement the people who would have lost those factory jobs. And instead of factory jobs, more jobs could have opened in the technology data sectors. And if we're talking about, I forget, was it sweatshops, where people work long hours and don't get paid a lot, but that's their only source of livelihood. So taking that away could lose their only ability to make money. This is a deeper problem than just them having that job. It's a problem in the government that needs to be regulated. So before we even talk about implement like having AI there, we need to figure out why they're being paid below minimum wage.
Let's talk about first world countries. Uh, for this example, it will be. I'll talk about the states for just my example here. I think that you should not say one job is okay to be taken away and the other job is not okay. And my example here is this. Yes, if we with technology we could push us into a direction of technology centers and more advanced things like that. However, you even in first world countries like America, you have to admit there's a large proportion of the population, a large portion of the population are idiots. They cannot comprehend such things. They cannot be successful in such jobs. So let's say they take over fast food. I mean, just flipping a burger. Let's say they take over factory work or something like this. They're taking away and making the what's it called, the wealth gap. They're increasing the wealth gap because not everyone can be successful in the technology center. So saying that AI should do the dirty work, I'd have to disagree. I think that AI is just to go back to the creativity side, is a different type of art. There's abstract art, there's what's it called? I don't know all the types of art. There's many different types of art and many different categories of art. And I feel like AI art is a different type of category. If you like AI art, then you'll buy that art. If you like human-made art, then you will pay more money and buy human-made art. It is simply just another creative outlook on life. Now, why I don't think it is okay to say one job should be taken over and the other one should not be is because it is not everyone can work. Like I said, not everyone can work in different types of jobs. Some people they didn't have education. Some people didn't try to have education, and even in America, and they'd be unsuccessful and broke. And I don't think that's what AI was here for.
People are already unsuccessful and broke, and the truth is that working minimum wage jobs simply isn't enough in today's economy to keep you afloat. You're basically living paycheck to paycheck, and you have no hope of ever owning a house, owning land, unless you figure something out. Unless you're working 2 to 3 jobs, or you're working at a high-paying job, or you're making social media content on the side. What I'm trying to get at, though, is that it feels like it's the wrong path that AI is taking, because instead of helping replace dangerous jobs and then finding new job ventures, new opportunities, or providing basic universal income, which would feed families and just basically pay everybody a minimum living wage, regardless of the job they do, to ensure that everybody has access to their basic healthcare needs, food,
Is
and
that
a
not?
space to live.
I, I could be wrong, but is that not like uh, a part of communism?
It'd be more socialism than communism. So communism is where almost everybody basically makes the same amount of money regardless of what they do, and everybody owns the same amount of property or owns the same things essentially. Socialism is where kind of like companies don't really own as much. It's more given to the people. Now, socialism, I'm not like I'm not an advocate for socialism. I don't think really anything that we've ever tried has really worked that well. But I mean, in Canada, we have a mixture of socialism and capitalism, right? We have free healthcare, even though it takes a very long time to get access to it. But the idea of universal basic income doesn't sound that bad, especially like the biggest argument I could see against it is that our tax dollars could be going towards it. But in reality, our tax dollars are going towards random shit anyway. So might as well ensure that people are getting good education, good healthcare, access to food, which should be a human right, and access to housing. And I don't think that's too crazy to say. Now, minimum wage jobs right now aren't making people enough money to sustain them. And instead of helping replace dangerous jobs, and I think I shouldn't have used the word dirty jobs or dirty work, because I was really referring to basically any job that could be automated. Um, Instead of using AI and robots and technology to replace those jobs, we're using them to replace art and creative kind of avenues. And in my opinion, that's wrong.
Okay. I don't think it's taking work from artists. I mean, it might be. It might be taking some work. But I
Definitely is.
think, again, I'm going to say it is more of a different area of art. It's a different idea. It's almost like saying uh, when rap became a more popular music genre, well, we shouldn't have rap because it's taking away jobs from hip hop artists or whatever. I think it's simply a different genre of art and it's a different idea. If people prefer handmade or human made art, then they will go towards that type of art. I don't think that it is necessarily a negative to add a different genre of art.
But this is where the difference comes
And
from. Oh, sorry, my bad.
no, no, continue, continue. And I'll say my second point after.
Because rap was innovated and created by people, it's distinctively well, not even that it is distinctively different from other genres of art or music. But when we look at AI, it references other people's artwork, so it doesn't actually create anything. It's all literally like a mashup of other people's art. It's all like a soup, a mixture of thousands of pieces of artwork that are used to create an AI artwork. And it does take away jobs from actual artists. For example, just as a really weird one, coloring books used to be made by people, obviously, all these drawings. Now they're mostly made by AIs. You'll see that if you go online and search for coloring books for kids or whatever, most of them are going to be made by AIs. And even sometimes you'll see certain mistakes made where, like, I don't know, if you're drawing a human or something, he's going to have 6 fingers, you know? There's certain things that you can tell, oh, this was made by an AI. It does take away jobs from other people, and it doesn't innovate anything because it uses other people's art as reference.
Okay. Uh, I don't understand this point because, um, let's just take musical artists as an example. They say, "This person was my inspiration. This person was my inspiration." Uh, they use them as examples to, and they add their own, of course, but they use 10, 20, 30 different artists as their inspiration, and they do funnel aspects of their music and techniques into their own music. Um, so yes, AI also does that, but again, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because again, it's just a different genre to me. It's just a different aspect of art.
Well, with music, for example, even though people can use other and do use artists as inspiration, because and use similar music beats, whatever, because music theory, you can't really write shitty music and expect it to do well. You will use, good music as inspiration for your music, but
Mm,
at the end of the day, every single music is written and sang and rapped through the human experience. It's lived through someone. Their emotions are in it. Their soul, their creativity is in it. AI doesn't possess any of these things. It takes and recycles other people's art, and it does the same thing with music. You can use AI to produce that artist's uh, vocals.
mhm.
My point is that by recycling,
Um,
yeah, sorry.
I I do see what you're saying, and especially about the using dead people's voices. I need to sit down and think about that one. I don't know. I think at the moment it's morally wrong, but I cannot give a pinpoint answer why. However, with AI taking uh inspiration and not you like then that's not putting its soul in, it's not putting its lived experience in. I think that again, I'll say it, it's just a different genre. It's you could call it a soulless genre. Uh like if I get a can of paint and I throw it at a canvas, am I putting my soul and energy into that? No, but it's still considered art. And there's art like that that sells for millions of dollars. So when you say that it doesn't put its soul and energy and lived experience through, not all artists do. Should we not let artists who don't put their soul into their work uh, draw or paint or sing? Should it only be the ones who put their soul into it?
Well, this is a critique of modern art that we're going over now, and we have no objective way of saying they didn't put their soul into it. I personally agree with you that throwing paint at a canvas and calling it artwork is it's shit. It's not art. It's just like it's. I feel like it's almost like a money laundering scheme. Um, but I don't know how to judge that because, well, I do know how to judge that. That's
I
my
would say I
personal
did it.
opinion. Yeah, I'll be like, your
Well,
artwork
that's
is shit, Nathan. That's
exactly. And you
yeah.
have the option to choose not to be into it. But my
Of
point
course.
is, let's
But you're not stealing
you
from
can't critique.
anybody. You're not stealing their artwork.
If I
You're not
see
recycling
if
it.
I see an artist who he said he passionately threw the paint onto the canvas and it sold for millions, and I see that and I'm like, I'm going to do the same thing, and I don't put my soul into it. I don't put I just throw a can of paint on. I don't care, and it sells for money. I stole his idea. I made it my own by doing the exact same thing. I didn't put any soul into it. I didn't care at all. Should I not be allowed to do that?
I mean, you should be allowed to do that. And if you're able to do that, then so be it. It doesn't change the fact that I think AI in making art is wrong. And I think that,
What's the difference though between what I did and what AI does?
okay, well, for one, I
I
don't think you
stole.
should be doing either. But even though it is technically legal, it doesn't make it right. Same way that in some countries prostitution is legal. If you think about it from a moral perspective, a lot of people would say that it's morally wrong. At the same time, it's like two wrongs don't make a right. I don't think that using AI, which recycles art and doesn't put any, it's not a human, it can't produce art, it literally recycles it. I think it's morally wrong because it takes jobs away from other artists. I think that modern art, in the most part, is bullshit. I think throwing paint on a canvas is also bullshit. I don't think you can make it illegal because then how do you distinct what is good art and what is bad besides your own personal convictions? You really can't. And so again, this is a topic of personal convictions. I personally believe that AI art is wrong, and I think, but the difference between shitty art made by a human and shitty art made by an AI that we can objectively distinct is one made is made by a person and the other is made by a machine that recycles human art.
I think I do believe that it's not bad for an AI to make art. And what you're saying to me, I do understand the points that you're making, but I do think also that a human stealing another human's art is equivalent to an AI taking humans' art. It's not a private thing. It's open to the public. Anyone can use it. It's part about taking away jobs from artists. I think that you cannot say it's bad to take jobs away from artists unless you're also willing to say it's bad to take factory jobs from factory workers because I know it would be nice to live in a society where everyone has uh, that like basic minimum income or what you said.
Universal basic income.
That's yeah, yeah, universal basic income. However, we don't live in a society like that. We live in a society where people would go broke, go homeless, and die if their jobs got taken away from them by robots. So,
But that is
in
exactly my point.
oh,
I'm saying that
tell
we're
me.
moving in the wrong direction where we're focused on making AI art instead of helping people ensure a universal basic income and helping AI replace dangerous jobs, ensuring a better human experience.
Do you think that with the help of AI, we can get to a place where we have a universal basic income?
I mean, not necessarily with the help of AI. I'm saying that governments can provide basic universal income and
Okay.
that AI is moving in the wrong direction.
Well, I think this. I think we have to talk about the direction of which AI is going to separately from the direction of our political stance or political parties are moving into. Because if we talk about AI and like let's say uh everyone has free healthcare. No one needs to work anymore. This is an extreme example. No one needs to work anymore. Uh, and you have anything you want. Then AI should be used to like robots should be used to give humans whatever they want, whether that's like massages or uh, what's it called to get us a drink from the fridge. It should be like it's a different conversation. But in my mind, I'm talking about our current political parties, our current political stance as a country. How can AI help us now? And how can AI help us in 50 years? And how can AI help us in 100 years? Because within 50 years, we're not going to have universal basic income. That's something, in
We
my
don't know
opinion,
that.
not going to happen. Oh, it's my opinion. It's like just what I think. I think that to make something like this to such a like extreme change in our society, it's going to take a lot longer than 5 decades.
Universal basic income isn't such an extreme change, and it doesn't mean that we're going to be, like the members of the crew at Wally, where they're all fat and lazy and just laying around. Robots are bringing them everything. It's gonna mean more so that you don't like, regardless of what way you do, you're gonna have access to food, a place to live, and basic healthcare. And that is not entirely
Well, the
a crazy change to make. I think some countries already have something very similar to this. I could be wrong, but I think
I some countries might, but that doesn't change that it's still miles away from Canada because the amount of money that they need to put in to make because there's not even enough homes for everyone. There's not even enough homes. So the amount of time and money it would take to build all the homes to feed every single person if like people lose their jobs, which they would if AI is taking away work. Uh, just basic needs like heat, like electricity, water. We're so far away from that because of where we stand. Uh, Canada recently signed a bill. It's to make uh, it makes the creation of new gas powered vehicles illegal. You can't make them. You can't buy them. You can only buy used gas vehicles. So the infrastructure that is required will not even be in place for that until 25 years, I think. 25 years just to put electrical power stations all throughout Canada. And this is an extreme thing that they're trying to do. This is like a big change. So something that's 10, 20, 30 times bigger than that is going to, I can't see it only taking double the amount of time. I think that if we started today, it would take at least 100 years just to build everything, just to have the infrastructure needed for this. Other countries might have had it down by now, but they didn't start where we're starting. They didn't have the homeless rates that we have. They don't like it, I do think it's a big jump
I
and a
see your
big
point,
change.
but again, it doesn't really matter how long it's going to take if we're moving in the wrong direction. What I'm saying is that we should still have been moving in the right direction. Like recently, we sent like I think 500 or 400 million to, was it Philippines or a random country, of taxpayer money. For what reason exactly? I don't know. The Canadian government did this, where all of this money could have helped ensure like building. Food insecurity is quite prevalent in Canada. About, I don't remember the exact number, but it's about 8% or more of Canadians are food insecure, meaning they can't get all of the nutritional needs they need on a daily basis. And some of these people are working. Not all of them are homeless. A lot of these people are working, and they still simply can't because jobs don't pay enough. Why is this money not going towards ensuring that everybody's getting the food they need? So
Um,
maybe we could have started with this instead of those $400 million or 500 million being sent to Philippines or whatever country they send them to for no apparent reason. It could have been used to helping Canadians live better lives. In terms of
I,
housing,
I
I
s-
completely agree. And what I'm saying though, the bare minimum is that AI should be used to help people live better lives. Instead, it's like AI is being used to make art, which is something that I feel like humans should be focused on more so than AI.
Let me ask you
But
something. Let's say the infrastructure changes and AI is now able to take over those types of jobs, like factory jobs, we'll just say, because we have universal basic income. Does this not pose would this not increase the wealth gap as well, like drastically, because it limits a person's ability to work, work extra hard to get extra money to, fund their dreams, start a business, anything like that. If they just have a universal basic income, is that not going to drastically increase the wealth gap?
I think that AI in general increases the wealth gap, and I'm personally anti AI. I think without AI it would be better for people in general. And I think you are right that removing factory jobs would increase the wealth gap. The wealth gap is already huge though, and working minimum wage jobs doesn't really help shorten it. The problem right now is that minimum wage isn't enough compared to the housing or the prices of houses, for example. Like people working jobs can't buy houses anymore. It's nearly impossible. So while it certainly would increase the wage gap, it's beyond the problem of um, making the wage gap bigger. It's a problem of the government not paying people enough and houses being too expensive. On top of that, I would say that yes, it definitely is a problem that people could lose jobs. And so for that reason, you're probably right. Like maybe AI shouldn't take over any jobs at all. But in that case, my point still stands that AI shouldn't be doing art,
Gonna be doing our what?
shouldn't be doing art, like making art.
Oh, art. I see. See where my opinion is that AI should be doing things that, first of all, there's a limit to what humans can do with their mind, right? We cannot comprehend extremely advanced physics on the top of our head. And there's a limit to the complexity of physics that we could even comprehend. I think jobs like that, where it advances humans' understanding of the universe, math, language, things that humans have a limit in, I feel like we should use AI to go past that limit
Yeah, with the
because that's
development
just
of
something humans cannot do.
supercomputers. Yeah.
Yes. And then on the physical side, There's certain weights that us humans simply cannot move. Um,
But do you need AI for
let's
that?
say that
I feel like
there's
that's just technology.
I feel like that's robots, and I'm just like, kind of goes hand in hand, AI and robots. There's certain, what's it called?
I mean, if you take a
Weights
look
that
at a
we cannot
forklift,
move,
you don't really need AI for a forklift. Automated forklift, sure, but then you're taking away
but
jobs
it
from forklift drivers.
yeah, I know. I'm thinking in my opinion is that what is best for society is people owning and starting their own businesses, for example. Now, this is definitely a challenge, and now this is an idealistic stance, but to have AI and robots as the workers allows humans to create their own businesses. This cannot happen. This is more of a dream, idealistic standpoint, because the process to get there, I think, is almost impossible without causing pain and suffering to many, many people. So I think the role AI should take in our current society and in our society in 50 years should be to making the lives of humans easier and better, but not taking away work. So uh,
Doing things that
I'll give
humans
you an
physically
example.
can't.
Yes. I'll give you an example. Let's say a business that employs 100,000 people, a big company, is going to close because they cannot afford it. They cannot afford to pay these wages. However, let's say they cut 20,000 people and they get 30,000 AI in, 30,000 robots. They took away 20,000 jobs, but they saved 80,000 jobs. You know what I mean? The company able to use a cheaper option. Now it's more
Yeah.
expensive in the at the start, but it's cheaper in the long run. The company choosing a cheaper option saved 80,000 jobs.
Yes.
I think that in stances like this, it's also good. I think that it could save jobs if you look at it in that way.
Yeah, it's a big moral, ethical dilemma at the end of the day. What's right and what's wrong. Also, when I was talking about factory jobs, for example, and universal basic income, if you look at countries, I think Denmark, or Sweden, they literally pay, or at least they have it for free, higher education. And so for people looking to pursue higher education, right, they have to pay off their debt. Um, Universal basic income, or maybe if we forget about universal basic income, but just employ the same things that those countries do, where they remove student loans and have give people access to free education, which is what we should be doing anyway. There's literally really no reason why we should have to go into debt to pursue a higher education. Giving people access to free education and would also be highly beneficial. But again, it's idealistic because universities make a lot of money in Canada, in the USA, and other areas of the world where they charge people an abnormal sums of money.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Let's say, like, first of all, I'd like to say I agree. I think that not healthcare, education should be free, and I also agree that's an idealistic sense. But let me ask you a question about the because you just said that it is a moral dilemma because it takes away jobs from humans, right?
Yeah, sorry, repeat the last part.
You said that it's a moral dilemma because it takes away jobs from humans, like AI, right?
Yes, it takes away and it can bring new
Okay.
opportunities, so it's morally complicated.
Let let's say a forklift can lift 1,000 pounds and it can be operated by one person. Before that, let's say to move the 1,000 pounds, you needed 10 men. Is that not taking away? Is a forklift not taking away jobs from 9 men?
It does. Yeah, it certainly does.
Therefore, would you say that the forklift is bad?
I wouldn't say that because well, again, I think it's morally complicated, but I see your point. Again, every technological advancement has come at the cost of jobs, but it also has created new job opportunities. That's why, for example, um, if I said AI was to replace factory jobs and then it would open up new jobs in the tech sectors, your counter argument to that was people are too stupid to go into tech sectors. Again, it is a technological advancement, and in my opinion, it's a good one, but it does take away people's jobs, and it's so far it is morally and ethically complicated because what do you replace those jobs with? Not everybody wants to work, or not everybody is capable of working in the tech sector.
Okay. So I think that this is the first big jump where, I mean, you don't need to be a genius to operate a forklift. Um, this is the first big jump where intelligence really comes into play, where be you need to have a society where they're intelligent enough to work in masses in the technological center. Before, when you didn't need 10 men to lift a stone, it caused the creation for more factory work, to create more forklifts, to create more cranes, to create, and that's all factory work. It doesn't take a genius to do that either. So I think that this is the reason why for you. Now, I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong here. I do believe for you, the reason why this is a moral dilemma is because it is a big jump in uh, what's it called? Intelligence, where people could before find work in other places with this same level of intelligence, but a lot of people wouldn't be able to have the level of intelligence it takes to work in the technology center. Would you say that this is true, or am I wrong?
Yeah, I'd say it's partially true. I'd say it's partially true. In an ideal society,
Okay.
I think, obviously, utopia just wouldn't work, but nobody would have to work. Everybody would have enough money to sustain themselves, and then they could do what they want to. If they want to work and pursue science related fields, they could do that. If they want to go and create art, they could do that. But that's never gonna happen. And so, yes, I agree.
Okay. Yeah. I think my final stance is that it is. I think my chance, my what's it called? Stance changed a bit. I think that it is not really. It's not good for the AI to be taking jobs. This is like factory work. That remains the same. I think that those jobs are required for humans because there are people who are unable to work in other places, and that is the only way that they'll make income. I think that AI's purpose should be in sectors that humans are unable to do. Physically unable or mentally unable to do. They don't have the intelligence, they don't have the strength for it. That's where AI should be. Now, on the stance of AI as a tool in the creative center, I think that it is okay just because it's a different genre. It's not like other art. And I mean,
But it is, since it's
if,
literally recycling it. There's no human touch to it. It's just other people's art.
I know, I see that. I see that. That's why I was considering my answer. It's a different genre. It is a different genre. And if you want human made art, then you can go looking for human made art. I think that uh, AI art is not my cup of tea. I do prefer human made art, and I know that some people do prefer AI art. Um,
Are you able to tell the difference though? Because a lot of the time you really can't.
I don't know.
You really can't. So you'll
I
look at
don't
an
know.
artwork and you won't be able to
Let's
say,
say
is it human art? Is it AI art? How would you know if you prefer AI art
the
than or human art?
my the human art I prefer is like painting, like so like a hand painted art is what I like. So I can tell the difference between that art and online art, of course, but it's hard to tell the difference between AI art online and like online artist. That is difficult to tell
Well,
apart.
if you're looking at it
However,
online, you
I
won't be able to
continue.
tell the difference, right, between a painting and an AI painting.
Uh, probably not. No,
Yes. So
I I see what you're saying, but in person, you'd be like, if you printed a picture of AI art and printed a picture of the art I prefer, you'd be able to tell because well, not print. If you print the picture of AI art and just have the painting of the normal art, you'd be able to tell because I mean it's in the real world. You'd be able to see one that is printed and one is not, and that's the type of art that I do prefer. So to me, it's hard to to me, it's just a different genre. It's a genre that I don't care for, but it's a different genre that do people do care for. So I don't think it is bad. I think that it is. Yeah, I don't think it's bad. I don't think that AI being creative, because I think that AI will get to a point where it's more creative than humans. I think that that's possible. I think where AI
Think
can get to the
AI
point
will
where
ever
it's smarter than
achieve
humans.
artificial general intelligence, like where it can operate on its own?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay. Well, I really disagree with you on the AI part, AI art part. But again, you can have your own opinion. I can have mine. We can agree to disagree on this. Uh,
Mm.
just to get off the topic of art, because I had one more question for you. Do you think that we can possibly prevent AI from being used for mass manipulation? And this sort of ties into art, but not really, because it's just similar about generative AI. I'm talking about things like deepfakes, propaganda. You know, Google a couple of months ago came out with their new AI video generation model called Google's VO3. And the videos it creates are nearly indistinguishable from real life videos. I saw a news report made by an AI woman who at the end was talking, I'm a prompt. And I wasn't able to tell until she said, I'm a prompt. And it's become so good at mimicking human movements and looking human that it's almost indistinguishable unless you work in that sector or you are or make some mistake.
I think that there is laws that can be passed to prevent this. For example, I heard recently that all printers that are made uh, give off an invisible
Yeah.
digital receipt.
Hmm.
Now, I think that this could be something like this could be implemented into AI to kind of stop deepfakes, stop things like this. But can we stop AI from truly, like, someone using it illegally? I think yes again, actually. I think that the same way that the printers do, you need to, what was it? With the printers, only a few companies are allowed to make printers because they need to be approved by the government to actually do it. I think you can do the same thing with AI, with only a few or however many AIs there are. Um, they're approved by the government and stamped with this digital receipt of sorts.
The problem isn't of individuals using it for illegal purposes. I mean, that is obviously an ethical concern, but more so the government itself using it for unethically. For example, in the U.S., Trump recently funded Palantir, which is a data company, and now it's compiling data on all of Americans, making a super big database, and is using that or doing that in conjoinment with AI. And a lot of people are ethically concerned about this because, well, it's essentially an invasion of privacy, and it is funded by the government, and nothing is really stopping governments from using AI as a source of propaganda. And if we look at countries where there are more authoritarian governments like Russia, right? They can most certainly use AI in unethical ways for mass manipulation. And other countries like the USA, Canada, any country really in the world can do this potentially.
And so, what's your question with that? You're asking
Well,
me, can we stop it?
I'm saying, do you think that this is a big concern? Can we prevent AI from being used for mass manipulation by the government? I mean, the US is already technically doing it with Palantir and their massive database.
I would say that it is a concern, a big concern, I would say. However, um, there's almost nothing that we can do except, see, the thing is, when you elect someone into as your prime minister or your president, you you have to have trust in them almost, because what's stopping them from doing anything? They can do any number of illegal acts. They can kill whoever they want. They can take over cities. They can, I mean,
They can't.
forge. They can forge. I mean, we don't. let's talk about Canada. We don't have the same right to bear arms.
No, we do not.
What power what power could we do to stop them? I think that this is more like a radical thing, like the government taking over the country. But at the same time, there is things that they can do on the down low, like forge documents or rig elections. Even like, how do we know? How do we know as citizens that the elections weren't forged?
We don't.
Like, what I think it's a similar issue to that, that we have limited control. It would be nice if there was uh now Vadim, I know you talked about something like this in the past. It's someone to watch over the government to make sure that the government's in line, make sure the government's in check. And that'd be the only way that we could possibly prevent the government from using AI for corruption. Now, who's watching the watchers
Nobody.
of the government?
Yes.
It's at the end of the day, it's either you need to trust your government that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, or you don't trust your government. But the power that we have is nothing. We can't do anything about it anyways, because no matter who's in office, not everyone will trust them. Not everyone will believe them. Unless it's someone who wants to completely wipe AI out, then the problem will still be there.
Well, Nathan, I'll tell you what. I don't trust the government, and I also think that there's a small difference between destroying entire cities and killing civilians and using AI for propaganda. I think one is a clear attempt to overthrow democracy and people's rights, and this would cause a big uproar. But the use of AI propaganda through fake videos, you know, potentially to frame political opponents, you know, make fake videos of a political opponent doing something controversial, uh, propaganda showing things made by done by other countries, which is also made by AI, or even compiling AI databases that which is Plantier, which is what Plantier is already doing. In my opinion, is highly unethical, and it's enough reason, in my opinion, that AI is overall a negative has a negative effect on humanity because the people who control AI and in its most part are rich and powerful, and they want to maintain their status of being rich and powerful, which in turn does not really benefit us as regular human beings who are not as rich or as powerful.
You know what? I'll tell you my opinion. I guess I can see how killing people and using propaganda might be a little bit different. So I'll retract that statement, and I'll just use the election statement instead. That will be the point that I go on. However, however, when computers came out and you could print off words, people might have feared that. How can we know who said what? How do we know that this is true or whatever? When signatures were being forged at banks or whatnot, people might have been afraid, saying that, "How can we prevent this?" And then they came up with technology to prevent this. I believe that I don't think I'm smart enough to come up with something on the spot, but I think that there is a possibility that a technology will be made. ChatGPT. When ChatGPT came out, there was teachers worried, oh, how will we know if students wrote this or if ChatGPT wrote this? And then very shortly after, Zero GPT came out, which could detect it. It is something that I don't understand how it does that. I don't understand it. But I believe that there could be a technology that comes out that could detect if it was AI or not. However, that's speculation because I have no idea.
You're absolutely right. There is already technology that, at least I think so, show you if something was AI made or not. I mean, it's implemented like, but the people who basically operate the companies, like Deep Labs, or not Deep Lab, Forest Labs, who have like Flux AI and whatever, they have the ability to tell if something was made by their eyes or not, and so forth. That applies to individuals who try to use AI in unethical ways. They could be sent to prison by governments, etc. What about the actual government using AI in unethical ways, though, and which, in my opinion, is already happening in the U.S. I think it's unethical to compile a super database on all the people living in the U.S. and it's only being done thanks to the it being in conjoinment with AI because otherwise it'd be extremely difficult to do.
Was there no other database on the people in the US before?
There is many databases on people, but this is a super database, like a unification of a bunch of databases, which gives you basically profiles on everybody, things you like, things you watch. I mean, it's it's an invasion of privacy, in my opinion.
Actually, sorry. Do you know when Amazon recommends things that you talk about or
I don't use Amazon.
previous things that you've seen? Okay. Well, there's this delivery service called Amazon. I don't know if you've heard of it,
Nah.
but it basically, if I search up Pokemon cards, then next time I go onto Amazon, it'll recommend some Pokemon cards for me. Or on Instagram, if I look at a gym video, then it will recommend more gym videos. Is it not equivalent to that?
Well, you're signing up for it
How
when you're using
many people
Instagram.
give out
And when you talk about ads, you're signing up for personalized ads. You can remove personalized ads, but in general, I think personalized ads are also because most of the time they're done automatically, and a lot of information is already collected on you, which I also think is unethical. I think I know if your computer, if you're using Windows, your computer has something that can record video and audio without it being turned on. It can use your camera and you can use audio without it being turned on. Same with your phone, which is used by the government to catch criminals or spy on people essentially. I think it's all unethical because, and again, it's a moral argument where doesn't this prevent crime? Like potentially, but crime still happens. I mean, this is a I'm actually getting completely off topic, but kind of what I'm getting after is that nothing is stopping the government from using deepfakes, from using propaganda, from changing our lives using AI, and nothing is stopping the government, which they are already doing, from creating an essential information profile on you with the use of AI, which I'm sure they already have informational profiles on you, but this is more expansive that will completely control your life, or not even just control, but they'll have complete control over the things you like and complete knowledge over everything about you, which in my opinion is a big problem. It's like having Big Brother watch over you. It's literally 1984. Like,
let's go back to killing people as an example, okay?
all right.
Now, I've been thinking about it, and I do think it's different, but I think it's still relevant from what you just said. Yes, what is stopping the government from using deep fakes or something of the sort to show us propaganda or anything like that? Not much. Not much. But what is stopping the government from sending bombs on us? I mean, they're different because one is more of a secret attack and the other one's a more direct attack. But what is stopping the government?
Well, we had
The
information.
fact
Oh,
that the
my bad. I didn't know you were.
oh, no worries, no freaking worries, man. The thing that I believe is stopping them is the thing that I believe is stopping them is that if the public found out that there was deepfakes, it'd be they would overthrow the government of sorts. They would riot. There would not be rest. Same thing if there was a sudden bomb that was dropped. The citizens wouldn't just comply with that. They wouldn't just be okay with their government bombing them, just like how they wouldn't be okay with the government deepfaking them. There, the risk of it being deepfaked is there. It is there. But how do we know that the government doesn't hold secrets, Area 51? How do we know that the government doesn't cover up conspiracy theories, or not cover up conspiracy theories, cover things up, and those are conspiracy theories? A great example, a great example. Some people do not believe that, or some people believe that 9/11 was an inside job. So, how can we trust the government with anything? At the end of the day, you either do or you don't. And if saying that we should not let them we should not advance AI because it could be used for this bad thing is like saying we should have not we should have not advanced our military and gone nukes because the government could nuke us. Well, if we don't, then other governments are going to up their military and then nuke us anyways. Now, if you were to say as a solo statement, without AI is good or AI is good or bad, I can see why someone would just say no AI would make the world better. I think that it would not make the world better. It would it I don't know. I don't know really how to describe it. It's almost as if AI helps us in so many ways. AI is a tool when used properly can help us in many many ways. AI if used poorly is a weapon, but AI is already used to like make the AI here. Let me compose myself. AI can help improve the world. It can help further our knowledge. It can help us understand things that we don't understand. It can get jobs done in an instant. And that's why I think that AI is a good thing because it can have the potential to do that. Now, if used wrong, yes, it could be a very, very bad thing. If AI is used to uh, pinpoint everyone's location to bomb everyone, and that's a bad thing. So
Yeah.
it is a good thing that can be used as a bad thing. And my last example I'll give is a knife. A knife can cut up vegetables. So it is a good thing. Without knives, our vegetables would not be cut nicely. Our chicken would not be sliced properly. But it can be used to kill someone. So is the knife a good or bad thing? I think it's a good thing that can be used poorly or wrong.
Nathan, I completely agree that AI is neither good nor bad. It's a tool, and then depending how you use it, it dictates whether it's a good or bad thing. My problem is with the people who control how AI is being used and in general being used poorly. Now, I want to go back to your original statement you made about people rioting after bombs are being dropped, or if people are being killed, or if propaganda exists. The problem is these things happen and nobody has been writing. Obama bombed hospitals in Iraq. This is documented. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This has been documented. He's done it many, many times. He's bombed Iraq many times. He's bombed a bunch of places. Nobody um, rioted. Nobody overthrew the government. I'm Russian, right? In Russia, we had crazy amounts of propaganda against the Western world. Nobody writes. In fact, if you do try to write, you're going to get sent to prison. Same thing with China. But in other countries, and I mean, in the USA, people will use propaganda. News sources use propaganda to make other countries look worse. I mean, history is written by the winners. What I'm trying to say is propaganda is being used everywhere. Nobody's rioting. Bombs are being dropped everywhere. Nobody's really rioting. The problem I'm having is that AI is a great tool that could have been used for amazing things, but the people who control AI, or rather the people who have greater access to it, such as governments and very powerful people, are using it for the wrong things. Like Plantier making its super database, which is gonna be able to pinpoint locations, drop bombs on people. I mean, probably not, but it's going to impact people's lives negatively. So that's my only issue with this. I'm sure like overall AI could have been used for amazing things, and it is probably being used for amazing things. It's to some extent, but more so it's being used to keep the rich richer and the poor poorer.
Crap. I'd like to clarify. With the bombs dropping, I meant more American bombs dropping on American soil. So it's government attacking itself, its own citizens.
Well, why
Okay.
would it ever do that?
Uh, I mean, there's a few reasons why I might do that. To control its population, to well, before I go into the reasons, I'll say this. I'm using it as a parallel to if the government used deepfakes, AI, whatever, to control its population. It's not going to use deepfakes against. Hmm, it's not going to use deepfakes to confuse Iraqians. It's going to use deepfakes to confuse Americans.
No, but look,
And I see what you're saying about the bomb being dropped on. Iraq. It did not cause any riots. Well, I don't know if it caused riots, but it did not cause any overthrow of the government in the States. But if the government bombed itself, it is equivalent to it confusing and misleading its own people with AI. And I think that in that circumstance, there would be a overthrown mint of the government.
But it's already happening. I mean, propaganda is already being spread. It's
Mm.
always been for decades, centuries even. Propaganda has been used as a tool to narrate how the person thinks. I mean, literally, nationalism is a form of propaganda in a sense, and it has happened, and nobody really writes against it. I mean, some people are recognize it, some people don't. But even if you recognize it, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go and start writing, "Oh no, the government's using propaganda against me." Well, yeah, they have, and they will continue. But with AI, it's going to become, and already has become a lot easier not only make propaganda but to control people. And if you want to use the example of bombs uh, on America's soil, if we take 9/11 for example and assume that it was an inside job to spite war with Iraq, Iran, Syria, the Middle East, essentially, did Americans riot? Well, no. I mean, obviously, it hasn't. We don't have confirmation it was an inside job, but it's a very big conspiracy theory, and there are some certain points of evidence that could suggest this. Now, what I'm saying is, if we assume that it was an inside job, these things have happened already, and propaganda has happened already and continues to happen, but nobody's writing against it. Nobody's doing anything about it. AI is going to be another tool used to control people and spout propaganda.
I think another way to look at it is that with it being easier to create propaganda, it's going to be easier to uncover propaganda. With the help of AI, the government could throw propaganda into the air like it's nothing. However, with the help of AI, citizens could detect AI like it's nothing, or
Okay.
detect propaganda like it's nothing. Detect if something's been AI altered or made with the help of an advancement of AI. Let's say that we get to a point where AI becomes a what's it called? Able to think on its own, then it's not really controlled by the government. It thinks on its own. It could help discern. It could help discern information,
Sure, but
detect through
that's
it.
currently
Now,
unrealistic.
I don't think it's. I mean, about the AI being able to think on its own, yes, but uh, using AI to detect other AI, I don't think is unrealistic. And I'd also like to say that preventing the evolution of human technology and advancement because it could be used for wrong is a I think is a fundamental uh, non-understanding of human nature as someone will come up with it and someone will advance it in a different country and because I'm talking about like more Western countries, of course, because that's where I'm from. But it could be made in another country and used against us. It is vital that humans keep on producing new technology and advancements for the betterment of society and to be able to protect ourselves. It is, again, not good or bad, but the potential of it to be good is overwhelming. Therefore, I do think it's good.
Okay. There was a couple of points I wanted to say, and they all left my mind as soon as you left me with the microphone here. Uh, well, first of all, I think in general, there's no objective meaning to continuously technologically advance our society. I mean, people were happier in the 80s and 90s than they are now. We have depression, we have anxiety, we have ADHD, we have a whole lot of mental disorders. We have the male loneliness epidemic. All these things, well, except the male loneliness epidemics, did exist in the 80s and 90s, but they were less prominent. And with the development of technology, of course, it had beneficial uses. But I'm saying if you were born in a time before technology and you didn't know it existed and you were happy then, and now it's like you don't necessarily need it. It's like you're continuing to evolve, but there's no objective point that we're heading toward. It's not like we're playing a mobile video game and it's like we're level 10 crooks and we're going for the level 100 mafia boss and then we win the game. We can't really win at life, you know? And so I'm saying, like, of course, your point is totally valid about if we don't do it, someone else will. It's like the arms race that, the Soviet Union had with the USA. But in terms of the entire world, not having access to AI, in my opinion, would honestly probably be better than having the whole world have access to AI. If nobody could ever have come up with AI, I would have probably preferred that than to have everybody have AI.
Well, first of all, there's definitely a few classes that would have been a close pass if I didn't have AI as a tool. Let me just say that. Say that, okay? So happy about that one. But I about that point, I'll say this. I'll say this. Can you repeat to me the first thing you said, like that first point that you just brought up?
um, well, no, I don't remember. Was it about AI not existing, being overall better, or that
No, no, it's
people,
just before that.
somebody born in the 80s or 90s who had, or not even 80s, 90s, but somebody who
Ah,
had,
there we go. There we go.
yes,
That's it. So I think that that's a logical fallacy because we did not have the same uh, ability to detect things like depression, anxiety, uh, things like this was not detected the same. It was not reported the same. Things like, I mean, it was a very common thing for men not to talk about their emotions. So that wouldn't have brought up by men. And things like it was much more taboo to get a divorce. So, I mean, you have to take all these things into consideration.
of
Also,
course. But let me interrupt you very quickly here.
alcohol.
It's There are increased new, like, not even diseases but problems that are caused with technology, like I said, mental loneliness epidemic and ADHD and all. There's many studies that show that specifically from technology, these mental disorders or issues are being increased because of this. And we can take an example and look at suicide rates that have only increased as technology has developed.
Okay, but is ADHD caused by technology? Is that what you're saying?
No, not necessarily, but if you're an iPad kid and you grow up and scrolling YouTube shorts and you're frying your dopamine receptors, by the time you're like 16, 17, are you going to be able to focus in class when you have, you open up a reel and it's Subway Surfers and Family Guy and Goon Corners and Clash Royale and Jinxie yelling? You can't. I think it definitely influenced by it for sure.
Okay. I think that well, first of all, I'd like to say that ADHD is like it's an actual disease almost, not a disease, but like a mental
Disorder,
issue and disorder. There we go. However, the ability to not focus is an attribute of ADHD. However, I do not think that because you're unable to focus, you automatically ADHD rates go up. I think that there might be an error in how ADHD is tested for or something like that. But that is what I believe. I think that's a mental disorder that is from birth that you cannot gain over time. I don't know. I should probably do my research before I talk about this anymore. But so I'm not going to talk on that because I don't know anything about that. What I will talk about is that, oh, just to finish my last point, is that talking about like things like happiness, depression, things like that. Drugs were a lot more, I think, less taboo. There's smoking. There, like doctors promoting smoking, drinking. I mean, if we were to look at it in the 80s, men. I don't know if this was in the 80s or 70s. I don't know what really when it stopped, but in that time period, men would come home and beat their wives. It is not really uh, a time where you could talk about your feelings openly. It's not really a time where you could talk about things like anxiety or depression and things like male loneliness. I think that that does have to do with technology Um, but I also think that there's always men who were alone. And it's just that not reported on properly, not talked about properly. And if it's any more now than it was, it could be from technology. I mean, of course, technology with more technology, there's going to be different issues. That's I'm not saying that that's not true, but I think that the information in the statistics could be a little bit off because all the examples I gave you show that there's issues with the records.
Yeah. One thing I want to say right now is my camera died, so nobody's gonna be able to see me. Uh, now I agree. I'm not educated on like things like ADHD, so it's hard for me to say. And I agree that I don't want to like make a statement where I have no idea if I'm right or wrong. One thing I'll say is you're obviously correct in that, for example, the people who went to therapy was a lot less back then. So it's to say now that more men go to therapy, meaning, or more like anybody goes to therapy, meaning that more people are depressed than they were before, isn't necessarily right. However, there are specific studies which show that the use of technology increases your chances of developing depression, having worse anxiety, reducing your ability to communicate well with other people. That is in general my point. Now, to lead this back to AI, the reason I said this was I think that the idea that we need to constantly technologically progress as humanity, I don't know if that's necessarily true because if you never knew about AI, your life would have probably been pretty damn good without AI, or at least it would have likely not have been worse. I mean, I know Nathan doesn't agree because of some high school classes. What I'm trying to say here
Uh-huh.
is I think that AI is a great tool if used right, and a terrible tool if used wrong. And I think that AI is mostly being used wrong. That's essentially all I'm.
Mostly
Yes,
at this moment in time.
yes.
Okay, I have to disagree on that one. I don't think it's mostly being used for wrong. I think if you don't mind, I'm gonna do a quick Google search.
Go ahead.
1 second. You can just cut this part out and say
I'm
that I knew
keeping
this
this
off the
in.
top of my head.
I'm keeping this in. Oh, there we go. All right, I'm back with a shitty
Okay,
webcam.
so here's some very common uses of AI. Smart assistants like Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant. Spam filters. So AI is used to sort emails automatically. Things like recognition, uh, like in your phone to unlock it. Um, Autocorrect and predictive text, customer service chatbots, and suggesting things to people like YouTube suggestions, Netflix suggestions.
Those
Uh,
existed before AI. It was
uh,
mostly algorithms. You could call it AI, I guess, but it wasn't generative AI. And I, it's mostly. I mean, it's hard to
these
distinguish.
are these are the most common things. These are the most common things used. So I think that none of these things can be considered bad.
Well, if the government is using AI for bad things, are they gonna go out on Google and tell you, "Oh, hey, look at me, I'm using this to spread mass
Okay,
propaganda and fear mongering"? Probably not.
but even do you think the government's doing that as we speak, like in this moment?
Yes, with Palantir, I think if AI could make a barber that could cut my hair well, I would have completely changed my viewpoint. But no, I think Palantir
Okay. Woke
is a
Canada.
pretty.
Woke Canada.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything
Okay.
about AI in Canada because, well, I don't know. Yeah.
If we just don't speculate anything, in Canada, there's at the moment, I don't think they're doing anything like Planetary. I don't think that they're doing any AI propaganda that I've seen. And I mean, I haven't seen everything, so I could definitely be wrong. Um, but I think at least in Canada, it is used for mostly good things. You can't, I mean, good and bad is subjective. So I think they're good. I think that they're fine. I don't think that they're bad things.
Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna try to lead this kind of to finishing point in that it would be stupid for me to argue that AI is only being used for bad things. And I can speculate all I want. Could be wrong, you know. Maybe the government isn't going to use AI for bad things, only for good things. I don't think that's true. But again, a
I
lot of
agree.
it is speculation. I do see your point about if we remove AI, it does remove a lot of useful things that could have saved time for people, like AI or email spam filtering. Those sort of things could definitely be useful. At the end of the day, though, I do think it's important for people to be AI aware. I'll give you an example of this, and then I'm going to be done with this. I go on Instagram and I see an AI video of a girl saying, "Oh, I want to get married. I don't care. Just treat me nice." And it's an AI video. And then I look at the comments. It's like 40, 50-year-old men. "Oh, come to my house. Come to my house. Like, I'll treat you so well. We can get married right now." Who the fuck wants to come to your house, first of all? But second of all, it's an AI woman. They don't even recognize it. How are they going to
Mm.
recognize AI propaganda being given by the government, clearly super well made, right? So people should be more AI aware at the very least. And I have no power to change anything, but I think that people should educate themselves on distinguishing AI, which is becoming more difficult, but also just their ability to look at information and be aware of not immediately take things at face value.
I would 100% agree. And just to go on that last part, if an old guy sees something on Instagram saying 3,000 people died in Thailand today from a terrorist attack, do you think that they're really going to take the time to like, oh, let me research this to make sure this is true? Or do you think that they're going to be like, oh, 3,000 people died in Thailand today from a terrorist attack? They're just going to believe it. They're just going to go
Yes.
along with it. So I do see what you're saying, but I think that that is happens with every aspect of information,
Mm-hmm.
of like giving information. Not many people really, old or young, really fact check things. Um,
100%.
I'll
So,
give you an example just to close off my side on this. Um, I had a conversation. I have conversations quite often, and one conversation I was having is about abortion, and I was just talking about the rates of abortion and how, oh, I can't remember the numbers now. I think it might have been 90% of abortions are caused by things that do not include health risks for the mother or baby. So, or rape. So that means that less than 10% of all abortions are from rape, health complications with mother, and complications with the baby. That's only less than 10%. The person I was having the conversation with believed it was over 60%. Now, this spread of misinformation was not fact checked, it was just believed and used as an argument against me. I had to actually research just to make sure I wasn't saying any misinformation myself. So I do think that misinformation spreads quickly. AI would allow it to spread quicker, but how much quicker really than how fast it already spreads?
I think a lot quicker, and it could make a lot more convincing misinformation. Which, yeah, but yeah, no, I see your point, and I agree. I think people kind of treated information at face value for the longest time, and that's why there's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation in general. This is obviously a big problem. But
Yes.
with AI, it's going to become increasingly easy to trick people, and they're already being tricked. I mean, you have AI only fans, and people are buying that. Can you believe it? Like we
Mm.
have
Yeah.
unethical gooning now. Like who would have thought? Yeah, try telling that to someone 5 years
I,
ago. I mean, come on.
I know you're an expert in that one, huh?
Oh
This
yeah,
is quite
well
well.
researched. I mean, hey,
uh, all right. Do you have your camera on right now?
Yeah,
All right. You turned your camera off the goon, huh? That's
yeah.
cool.
That's why I had it back in like 30 seconds. It was a quick one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Do
So
you have any other questions?
no, I have no other questions. But just to sum up what we were talking about, we covered AI, AR, AI jobs. We covered AI misinformation, Palantir, data networks. We talked about a little bit artificial general intelligence, those prospects, and just some moral and ethical topics regarding AI. And overall, we came to the conclusion that it's complicated and we don't really know that much. But
Oh,
go ahead.
I've sorry to interrupt you. I have something to say. I did change my opinion in the beginning. I do believe, under much thought, I think that now AI art might actually be bad. The reason why the thing that changed my opinion is I was thinking it it does take away jobs. I have to think of it in a different perspective because the type of art I like is handmade art that is not online. But to people who prefer art online, when you said that to me, I was like, oh, I couldn't actually distinguish it. So yes, I do think it could take away jobs, and I have to think about it not in my perspective, but in a third person unbiased stance. I think that it does take away jobs. Therefore, I do think yes, I my opinion changed on
Okay.
that front.
Yes. And then overall, in terms of AI misinformation, problems, government, conspiracies, whatever, propaganda, that's the word I was looking for. We don't really have any way of changing it. Propaganda has already existed for many, many, many years, and people haven't done anything about it, to be completely honest, because we can't. I mean, it's very difficult, especially if you're living under authoritarian rule. So at the end of the day, stay aware and check everything. Don't take things at face value.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we close this off? How about you do the closer since I did the opener?
Okay. I'd agree. We still disagree on some parts. The things that we still disagree on is that I personally believe that AI has the potential to make our lives better. I'm not saying that there's no potential to make our lives worse, but I think it has the potential to make our lives better. And Vadim believes the opposite. He thinks
Yes.
that without AI, our lives would always have been better without AI. Other than that, I think that we agree on almost everything. There might be a few other things that we disagree on, but at the end of the day, it's just a discussion here, and I think we're going to agree to disagree on those topics and agree to agree on the other topics. Um, that'll be it for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. Comment down any potential video you want us to cover, any topic. We will talk about anything that interests us. Uh, have a great day.
Goodbye.